Welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground. The toss of the coin. Simon Goodwin, captain of the Adelaide Crows, winning. Craig Bolton, co-captain of the Sydney Swans. Of course, Brett Kirk out there as well tonight. But massive game this for both clubs. The Sydney Swans 4th, the Adelaide Crows 9th. But with St Kilda losing today, the Adelaide Crows can sneak their way back inside the top 8 with a victory. Just how they go about it has been discussed at length. As we said, the Sydney Swans players getting together, whether they will be aggressive verbally toward Barry Hall, who returns from that club-enforced psychological suspension. And there was an article in the Adelaide Advertiser during the week, it was Thursday, just talking about the Adelaide Crows maybe trying to unsettle Barry Hall. Some sledging has been outlawed in the AFL, but there's no law against sledging about one's love life and history of suspensions, and that's exactly what Barry Hall has to face tonight. Although, gentlemen, Neil Craig, as a coach of the Adelaide Crows, was a genuine star in the SANFL, 321 games, and abuse and niggle was never his style. In fact, he played the game as if finishing the game with respect was more important than finishing with the 4 points. And that was something that I used to ridicule him for when I was a 70-year-old kid, because at 17 years of age I didn't quite understand that philosophy. But I don't think Neil Craig will instruct them to go at Barry Hall tonight.
No, I don't think that'll be an instruction, but you can be reasonably sure there'll be something said, and you'd expect that. I think Barry Hall would expect it, but no doubt there'll be a nervous few Adelaide Crows players if they were making a few comments his way. As expected, Ben Rutten has picked up Barry Hall.
So we're underway at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Marich in the ruck against Everett. Ablett with the quick takeaway. Bouncing ball. Beats Barry Hall. The bounce. Playfair. Moore. Tackled. And players dive in. Moore holds it up. And we've got Henry Playfair down there playing in the pocket next to Barry Hall. Playfair either as a helper or just a reminder, perhaps, Playfair. Matthews, Bird, Jack and O'Dwyer on the bench for Sydney, as well as their coach Paul Roos. From the ball up, slapped down by Everett, but to McLeod. Jude Bolton tried to keep it alive, but will get a ball in.
They've gone very big, the Sydney Swans, just trying to stretch the defence for the Adelaide Crows. Have a look at the Adelaide bench there. Tippett, McKay, Knights and Campbell. Brad Moran's got the match-up on Jolly, and Everett's in the ruck.
McVeigh had it but lost it. Marich gave the handball up. Symes with a quick kick, and Edwards a quick free against his old teammate Martin Matner. And it'll come back. In fact, Tyson Edwards, speaking of sledging, did say in the footy record a couple of years ago that Martin Matner was the easiest crow for the players from Adelaide to stir. They love stirring him up. Well, they might stir him up tonight.
He'll get plenty. He's been in good touch, Marty Matner, for the Sydney Swans since crossing over from South Australia.
He's played every game this year. Poor kick. So every game since crossing. Jude Bolton heads out wide to Playfair. This is the first time these two teams have played each other this year, strangely enough. Ball back inside 50, and Stevens, speaking of exes, the ex-Swan.
Well, Stevens had got the match up on Barry Hall there just for a minute as Ben Rutten had to push up the ground. They're making the alteration to that now.
Bock hassled off it. Matner, Richards, Matner. Just pokes the pass. And now McVeigh, 4 goals last week against the Blues. He's in good form, sends it long. Barry Hall, good fist and a mark to Rutten.
That's good strength.
Front spot, that was unbelievable. To outstrength Barry Hall, Alistair.
And it's a very vulnerable spot. If you're standing under the ball, it usually is reasonably easy to nudge your opponent under the ball, especially if you've got the strength of Barry Hall, but that's great work from Ben Rutten. Very encouraging start.
Vince to Douglas. Hands off to Stevens, who thumps it long inside 50. Marich, not the second grab. Thompson. Handball missed the target. Kennelly. Matner. McVeigh. And now O'Keefe. And open is Moore. He can run here. He takes on Paul Pleasure. Slides the pass. Jolly!
Yeah, Bassett was trying to sit there in the hole, but just couldn't, unfortunately, get back quick enough.
Just have a look at that Ben Rutten mark. That's fantastic strength. But Jolly has answered back with a genuine contested mark, 30 metres out from goal. And he'll have a shot on goal to give the Sydney Swans the lead.
Directly out for the first score of the night. Nice off the boot. It drifts a little. The Swans on the board.
Very good start. Moore found some space. The Adelaide Crows are happy to sag one or two defenders into that defensive 50 to give the assistance for Rutten and Stevens in their matchups. But that's a fantastic jump against Bassett coming back. Brad Moran's 6'5", 6'6" as well. Couldn't get a fist on that one. So good start for the big man. It's always a bit of a risk to go too big in the forward line, because if the key position forwards don't mark it, they then become slow.
Moran with the matchup on Jolly, who's kicked the opener. If you joined us late, Moran in for Massey, out for Adelaide, and Matthews in, Malcheski out for the Swans. Kirk with the takeaway for Sydney. Bouncing ball. Well played by Bevan. Diving in Stevens. They wrap him up. Going nowhere. We'll get a ball up.
Andrew McLeod has started on halfback flank, matched up against Paul Bevan, who would probably do a defensive job tonight on him.
Well, we know he's one of the premier tacklers in the competition, Paul Bevan, so no doubt they've got him down there to make sure
Free kick from
McLeod doesn't run right.
Infringement in the pack. Just didn't quite see what it was.
Ablett just outside 50, too far out to score, you'd think. Centering kick, Everett, and outreached by Bernie Vince.
That's great work from Bernie Vince. It looked like it was going to be a regulation mark to the big man, Everett.
And McLeod towards Gill. Can't collect it. O'Keefe, and most thought that was okay, that tackle, but it was drifting high, and O'Keefe gets it against Edwards. Kirk.
Gill just slipped, lost his footing, and at ground level, there's been a bit of rain in Sydney this week, and there is certainly a bit of mud on top of the grass there, or just under the grass, so guys will slip over tonight if they haven't got the right footwear.
Jared Moore played every game this year after just the 2 games last year, and he thumps it to the top of the square. Dangerous spot. Bassett with the fist. Kirk with the crumb. Kicks across the face, and McLeod can't get back to stop it. They've done all the attacking and all the scoring early, the Sydney Swans.
Just really struggled to have a target when they've actually got up there across half forward, the Adelaide Crows.
Edwards to Vince. Take the mark. And hassles the ball out of play with Jude Bolton with him side by side. We'll get a ball in. Bernie Vince, another player who's played every game this year. One of the unsung heroes of the Adelaide lineup. One of the better known players in the AFL, but having a good season, and he gets a stat on cue here. Nice pass to Douglas in the middle of the ground. Inside 50. Chance here. Front spot. Bock dives. Can't mark. Well played by Roberts Thompson. Toe poke off the deck. Goodwin. And the ball seen out of play with Goodwin and Craig Bolton together. 2 captains tonight.
Nathan Bock here, and that's a fair sign that Neil Craig is desperate for a target across half forward. The form centre half back of the competition has been pushed up to full forward.
And the ball in. McVeigh, and Symes helps him across the line. We'll get a ball in.
Simon Goodwin also up in the forward line for the Adelaide Crows, matched up against the Human Dooner and Craig Bolton. He's going to be in for a tough night tonight.
Everett and Marriage, who slaps it back. Matner tried to shepherd. No one went for it, so he goes back in and gets it himself. Good tackle by Douglas. Dispossessed. Thompson, speaking of good tackles, Ablett wrapped him up. And there was prior opportunity. And we'll get free kick to Ablett.
Adelaide Crows are playing with fire. Nathan Bassett's the loose man in defence for them, but Ty Kennelly is the loose man for the Sydney Swans. He might have done a good job on that occasion, but he's a very dangerous player running off halfback.
Barry Hall forces the spoil, knocked down to Van Berlo. Jude Bolton hands up. Barry Hall pursues. Vince, Barry Hall ran past it. Van Berlo, Vince, Rutten, Symes. Lead from Goodwin, if he can get there. He can. Flies, causes the spillage. Gill, poor pleasure. That's slick. Rutten, Edwards. Kick a ball around the body for him. Post.
It was a good run from the Adelaide Crows defence there. With no John Cock tonight, they're going to look to be somebody tonight, and Brad Symes looks like he's going to be the player tonight to give them that little bit of drive out of their defence.
Good contest from Goodwin too. Not a big man, but a pack jump was required, and he caused the spillage. So that's all you can ask from the smaller forwards when they're caught out of position.
Kennelly to Kirk. Catholic to the Buddhist. Ty Kennelly admitted he's stalked the Pope for 3 days up here last week. Try and meet the great man that he idolises so much. Wide ball, and Matner takes the mark. Spearing pass toward half forward, and it's cut off. Stevens got a hand on it. McLeod caught, manufactured a kick, came back to him. Ball up. Umpires tonight, Armstrong, McInerney and Nichols. Umpire Nichols, a late replacement for Michael Vozzo, who had to withdraw from the threesome. Jolly and Marich. Goods third man up. Symes. Poor pleasure. Fist down from Richards, and a little 1-2 with Kirk worked well. Handball not so good. Bird takes on the tackler, tries to slip it back to Richards, and Kirk might set this up all over again. Has some time. Sends it wide. McVeigh, good pressure from Adelaide. Not overcommitting. Richards inside 50. They cause the turnover. Shirley, and they're away to the open side. Rutten looks up. He's got leads everywhere. Doesn't know which one to honour. Douglas. Good hands. Vence. And now Bryce Campbell, New South Wales boy. Wagga recruit playing for Adelaide. Making his old home state to Bock. Sends it inside 50 to Goodwin, who got there, really had to motor and made the ground.
The pass had to be precise. It was going to a situation where Goodwin was outnumbered 2-1. Now a very tough shot on goal from this sort of range, about 48 metres on the boundary line. And big Darren Jolly's just sitting back in the goal square. So they need a contest, need to get numbers back the Crows if this falls short.
Coming off a 3-goal game last week in the showdown, and it's juggled through for a behind. Different conditions to that end now. New grandstand being built next to the Clive Churchill stand, so we're not sure whether that's going to stop the breeze that once upon a time continued to push that ball out of the goal opening. The players kicking to that end.
You think it's going to stop a fair portion of it with a big stand there?
It's a big stand, Matner. Short, and of course there used to be grass. Remember grass?
And the hill?
The hill.
Yes. Kirk. Thumps it along towards half forward. Moran, front spot, into the side, late replacement. He was in the side last week for his first game of the year, then was dropped at selection on Thursday night, but got a late reprieve back in. Bassett. Sydney Swans allow him to hold the ball. Hand off to Doughty. Sends it towards half forward to Bock. Gathers his own crumb. Handball not so good. Bird. Grundy, not 15. You heard the call. And now Goods gets it from O'Keefe, coming off a very quiet un-Adam Goods game last week when he had just 7 possessions. Back to Bird. Sidesteps Knights, and the kick not so good. Dangerous spot to be opening it up for Adelaide, and they get the free. David McKay.
It wasn't a good kick, and certainly you don't want to turn over the ball in that position of the ground, especially on the smaller SCG. You could just 2 kicks away from a goal.
Thompson, long, Gill flies, forces the spoil. Poor pleasure, went off the deck and it rolls around, but not enough.
Probably had a little bit more time there too to just pick up the ball, but it was a little bit rushed, kicked the ball off the ground, and yeah, could have picked that one up.
Double change about to come on the Adelaide bench. Van Berlo and Tyson Edwards there.
Thanks, Ty. Play on. You, Shane.
Ted Richards.
Stay there. Play on.
It's the call to play on, back pocket. Runs into trouble. O'Dwyer, second game of the year, second game of the career for him. Roberts Thompson, Ablett, and now Richards dumps it long. Play fair. Use the hands, good use of the body in the end. It's actually Vince and Edwards preparing to come back on for Adelaide. Barry Hall in the pocket. There's the roar.
Good confidence builder for Barry Hall. Led very hard at the ball. Has only had that mark so far in the game. He's just pulled the kick left.
Yeah.
But the Crows did that well, and they just suffocated the corridor and just forced Barry Hall to just a little bit out wide.
They're pushing very big numbers back. That's why it's going to be very hard for Barry Hall to get a mark in the corridor. He was pushed wide. Just generates a very difficult shot on goal.
Kick into Knights. And left him in space. It was a good pass. And he's held up by Playfair.
Yeah, we'll see a bit of this tonight because both teams, or certainly the Adelaide Crows, are initiating getting big numbers behind the ball. So haven't got many targets and just keyed into a nest of Swans.
Knights towards Port Pleasure. Fights on. Kennelly. Richards back to Kennelly. Crows with numbers back, as you mentioned. Bevan will need to pass this inside 50 rather than bomb it. Bird short.
Once again,
Barry Hall
wide.
Rutten dives in. And McKay lends a hand. Bock keeps his feet. Plays on. Open forward line now for Adelaide. Kick a wobbler. Super tough for Goodwin. Couldn't trap it. Goods does. Turns it over though. Bock. Goodwin. Tippett. Started on the bench to Shirley. Handballer, not usually a kicker. Van Berlo sends it to full forward, and Port Pleasure can't beat two. It's rolled through for a behind.
Neither team dominating the corridor. Because of those numbers in the back 50 have been pushed very wide, and certainly your skills have got to be precise if you're going to try to take on the corridor and take on the packed defence of the opposition.
Big rotations on the bench. You can see McVeigh and Kirk and Jude Bolton now more also on the bench.
See, probably as a result of the loose men in defence, Ted Richards is up to 7 disposals already.
So Matner into Grundy. We talked about Barry Hall finding it tough against Adelaide. He's never kicked a big bag against Adelaide. His whole career has struggled against the Crows, Barry Hall. In fact, Sydney in general have struggled against the Adelaide Crows, given that Sydney's lost 8 of the past 9 to them.
Which is extraordinary to think how strong the Sydney Swans have been over the last 5 years.
Yep. McLeod to Douglas. The old 1-2 back to McLeod. Tough ball inside 50. Knights beaten for it. Matner plays well. To Goods. And Douglas just overcommitted. Kennelly held his ground. Central kick. O'Keefe. Now the lead from Barry Hall. It's ignored. He goes longer. Jolly in a one-on-one with Moran. He might need to rush this through. Clever.
It's good use of the body by Moran then. Just bumped Jolly off the ball just right at the last minute. Good play.
Quick in. You see that mark again. Nice one. McLeod to Edwards. So McLeod getting some possessions in that back pocket, as we suggested he's there to do. Kick not so good. Grundy beats Gill. And Grundy with a pretty big job. You guys mentioned in the opener that Nick Gill, coming off a 7-goal game last week in the SANFL for North Adelaide against Woodville West Torrens, had to kick 7 of their 11. And they were all in the last 3 quarters of the game. Had no goals to quarter time. Nick Gillen finished with 7. As Barry Hall has a sit down. Playfair takes the mark.
Might have hurt his groin a little bit here.
Certainly hope not. He's had a few injury worries over the time, Henry Playfair, and just really cemented himself into the side. When Barry Hall was out, so he's gone to ground actually with that groin. He's in a fair amount of strife by the look of it.
So that could be a man down for the rest of the game.
Yeah, he's no
Grundy.
good at all. Really struggling to even limp from the ground.
Chip kick. Missed the target. Rutten. Bassett, the old firm.
He missed his hand.
Quite work there. Dowdy brought down, didn't have it. Play on. Knights is away. Adelaide still yet to get a goal. We've played 18 minutes opening term. Bassett wide.
We've got to make this the most of this man advantage they've got.
Bryce Campbell.
And they kick to a 2-on-1.
And McKay gets there and takes the mark, David McKay.
Well, it was a good mark in there. The ball dropped short. We'll see Henry Playfair here as he goes to ground. And just not a lot in it there, but that's often the case with these soft tissue injuries.
You can just see he grabs his groin there just right at the end, so a bit unfortunate for Playfair.
Big kick this for David McKay. He's never kicked an AFL goal. This is game number 13 for him. In fact, he turns 20 years of age today, so it'll be a handy birthday present for him if he could get his first goal in AFL football and give the Crows the lead. But no fairy tale, only a behind, 5 of them to start this game. And Henry Playfair doesn't look good.
No, not good at all, and that's really bad news. And there's nodding to the doctor. It's a seems like it has been an issue in the past.
Everett got his hand slapped. It'll come back. A free kick. No, it won its advantage. Jack. Barry Hall's back on, doesn't get anywhere near it, and Bassett takes the mark. So more bad luck for Henry Playfair. He fractured his jaw against Adelaide a couple of years ago, and that really knocked his career around, and this might knock it around some more.
Looks like they're just treating the lower back there, so maybe a back-related tightness through the groin or the upper hamstring.
Thompson and Vince combined to get it towards Gill. Flies, hands to it, play on advantage, and it's driven through for a goal. Perfect kick for a goal from Bryce Campbell.
Fantastic position for a crumbing forward to hit the pack. Once again for the Adelaide Crows. Good jump, presented very well, Gill, but Campbell just in a great spot. Had enough time to get around onto his preferred left foot and has snuck that one through. Desperately needed for the Crows to get some reward for possession. Possession counts very close, and they're a little bit behind on the inside 50s, and they've made their opportunity after missing their first 5 shots on goal.
First goal of his career as well, Bryce Campbell. As I mentioned, New South Wales boy. Father Russell runs the post office in Wagga. I'll be celebrating that first goal in his career. From the ball up, Marich down to Vince. Not 15, you heard the call. And Kirk comes up with it. Campbell couldn't find the target with his handball, and Stevens stands his ground. Symes, slick hands. Doughty got it from Vince. And little push on Goodwin as he leapt for it. No tunnelling free there. Gill fights on. Caught by Bolton. Hands off to Goodwin. They'll get 2 within a minute. Goodwin's first.
Just some good signs over the last 60 seconds for the Adelaide Crows. Because they haven't got key position forwards that can kick big goals at this stage, they have to rely on running goals or midfield goals. And here we see Goodwin was pushed out of position, but turned around, ran back onto the ball after a good contest from Gill. That's 2 in a row for him. He's had those 2 goal assists. And composed play by the captain there to run into goal. Good sign for the Crows early in the first term.
150 goals now for Simon Goodwin, his 232-game career. The best of them, the 7 goals he kicked earlier this year against the West Coast. His best night at the office. And the Adelaide Crows have opened up a handy 8-point break, the biggest lead of the game so far. Shirley. Gill's on the move. Flies, and it's got it. They can get 3 within 3 minutes.
Well, this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to find targets up forward. So when I spoke to Neil Craig before the game, he said they wanted to stay composed and they wanted to find the target going forward, and he's certainly done that now.
Just have a look at Gill here. He's presented extremely well over the last 2 minutes. As we touched on, he's had the 2 goal assists. And go back and slot this one's great start on his return.
He fissed the air. It barely left his boot, and he knew it was home. Adelaide by 14.
It was great work by Robert Shirley. He's got the tough job on Adam Goods tonight. Just came in off the wing. It was very good delivery and great mark by Nick Gill. As you can just see this clearance here. Good tap. Straight out to Shirley on the wing. Comes back inboard, and it was a really good delivery inside 50 and good hands by Nick Gill. If we get a little bit of confidence out of that after kicking 7 last week, as you mentioned before, Dwayne. So good confidence starter for him.
In for just his 3rd game for the year, Nick Gill. 10th game in 8 seasons in the AFL system. It's been an amazing journey. And he's back where it all started. He was born here in Sydney from the ball up. Jude Bolton to Goods. And a Goods in form would have marked that. Slipped out from McVeigh, Ablett, Kirk, Jude Bolton hacks it back to full forward. Barry Hall, little tap down. Moore slips his way through. Ablett to stop the run of Adelaide goals.
An important goal for the Sydney Swans, even at this early stage of the game, but they just kept that ball moving forward. And as so often you see, that bunch of midfielders are always thereabouts. Kirk, Bolton's involved, Ablett was involved, Barry Hall presented very well at the ball, and young Moore dished out to another possession for Ablett, and that's a great snap-on goal. Good reply. Quality sides often do that, and certainly the Sydney Swans are a quality team.
Just means footy, that surname, Ablett. It's the only image you conjures, like Beethoven conjures music. You hear Ablett, you know what we're talking about. His value to the Sydney Swans might go for a long, long time yet. He's played enough games for father-son. They might become a fairly precious commodity in about 10 to 15 years again.
And there you can see Adam Goods has been moved in the forward line, but just running into the midfield, so he'll be just rotating through the midfield and up and forward today.
Jolly decided not to take it out of the air and then had to lay a tackle, get a ball up. 2 minutes 33 from quarter time.
Like Adam Goods is trying to dictate the starting point depending on the matchup that he's got. He's got the Stevens matchup there, so he wants to take him for a run through the midfield.
Marriage to Knights. Bounces it inside 50. Tippett tips it down to Douglas, who couldn't get a handball to a free man. Kirk got it from Richards, gave it to Goods, who hands to O'Keefe, and now Matner almost turns it over. Goods, he does turn it over. Gill, sidestep, no one in the square. He sensed it, went long, and thumped through by Ty Kennelly.
There's good composure from Kennelly there. He was outnumbered 2-1, but didn't go in and initiate body contact. Just see the turnover from Adam Goods, but Nick Gill, he's imposing himself on this game, and good form in the local competition, in this case the SANFL. Certainly can relate to the AFL if you're feeling good about your football.
Both these teams without big goal kickers, you know, Lachlan and Burton. Would love to have out there, but it evens itself out somewhat. Jude Bolton and half-back. But they do play low-scoring games. They met once last year. It was round 4. And Adelaide won that game by 17 points, but it was a 9-5 game. Richards. Roberts-Thompson. Jude Bolton. Richards. Bang! Ran into Campbell and he dragged him down. No prior opportunity.
Didn't have the prior opportunity. He thought he may have paid the free kick just for a poor handball to put Richards under an enormous amount of pressure.
But you can see all the Adelaide Crows just around there as well, so they're ready to pounce on him.
Jolly taps it down.
Knock it out!
Massive players around this ball up.
We're going to see some big numbers from the defenders. Matner and Richards up to 9 apiece. Kennelly 8.
Peter Everett getting some work done on that old body. And Jolly to do the ruck work, although he knocks it down to Shirley, who kicks inside 50, not 15 according to the umpire. Paul Pleasure puts his head down. They dive on him, and we'll get another ball up.
It's a good attack on the player from Paul Pleasure. We just see the inside 50s, 13 apiece. But yeah, just 2 weeks ago we thought definite reconstruction for Paul Pleasure, but they've put it off for a few weeks to just see if they can pinch a few more games out of him.
Shirley pinches it, gives to Edwards. What about heading inside 50? Gave to McKay. Tough one to mark. Gill flies, got a hand to it. Kennelly crumbed. Roberts-Thompson. Jolly. Danger. Paul Pleasure spoils to his own advantage. And Jolly's wraparound tackle. Magnificent. Bevan stopped a certain goal there, Jolly. Bevan to Kirk, and they might set one up. Richards, Kennelly, time enough for the Swans here. They run it through half-back. O'Keefe, and now McVeigh with space. Barry Hall leads back. It'll be in his direction shortly. Matthews
Just needed to get the ball on to Barry Hall, who's running back towards goal. And good pressure from the Crows defence.
The clock ticks. Grundy thumps it long to the square. They need a mark. Moore flies with the fist. Shirley, McLeod. And a good opening term ends. Both teams had their chances. 4th versus 9th on the AFL ladder. Sydney Swans with a chance to ink their name into a top 4 spot. They're 4th as we speak. And the Adelaide Crows a chance to play their way back into the top 8 for the end of this round. Quarter time at the SCG. And Adelaide lead 3-6-24 to Sydney 2-3-15. Quarter time at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and Adelaide coming off 5 losses in a row. 3-6-24 to 2-3-15 by 9 points of the first change. Goodwin and Campbell, a couple of the goal scorers for Adelaide. And there's the match stats. Gentlemen, what do you make of those?
Well, the scores inside 50 is the standout, and Adelaide Crows certainly struggled in the first half of that first term to get the ball inside. But once they got it up there, in the last 10 minutes, they were very effective, and that was through Gill. He presented extremely well and some very good forward crumbing by the Crows forwards.
And as I said in the first quarter, when that's going to be a focus for the Crows today, going forward, they want to pick a target. They want to make the most of their opportunities going forward.
And there's the bad news for Sydney Swans player Henry Playfair. He goes down here. It looks like it is a left hamstring, and there was a lot of treatment with the lower back. So he's got some back-related history with the hamstring there, and that's not a good sign. He looks like that's certainly a month out of the game at least, and he's resigned to the fact that he won't be taking any more part in the game tonight.
Well, that left knee was heavily strapped as well, so you want to wonder if that's taken into any of account. A little bit more strain on his hamstring, and a bit unfortunate that he's done one tonight, so early especially.
He's had some bad luck. His old team wins the flag last year. His new team's a chance to be a contender this year, and that might keep him out for a month, as you said, Alistair. And that would be bad news for Henry Playfair. Sydney boy originally, of course, New South Wales boy from Shaw, the rugby school. In fact, Lewis Roberts Thompson's father used to take both Lewis Roberts Thompson and Henry Playfair to training every night, and the two of them were splitters at school. They played AFL and everybody else didn't want to. So hopefully he'll be right for the finals, Henry Playfair, because the Swans will be there the way they're playing at this present time. Second term about to get underway. Jolly and Marich in the ruck. Poor ball up. Jolly favoured by it, wins it down to Jude Bolton, and he gave it up to Shirley. And tackles him, that's why he gave it up. Drives him into the turf and hurts him.
Just to get the tackling stat, but Bolton just flew through the pack there to take possession, and just as we saw, couldn't get a handle on it, and a turnover, but the second effort was fantastic.
From the ball up, Ablett forced to do some ruck work. O'Keefe high, so Ablett to take it. No, it's O'Keefe. Sends it towards Hall, beaten for it, front spot, Rutten again. Almost kick smothered, finds Vince. Having another good day at the office, Bernie Vince to Goodwin. Started forward, back at the moment.
Ooh, big
little
hit.
toe poke and a big hit by Jolly. He's put Van Berlo down. McLeod inside 50. Van Berlo on his feet now and looks okay. Roberts Thompson couldn't get a decisive handball away, pushing the back, not paid to Richards, and Bock gets away with that one.
Just have a look, this hit Darren Jolly on Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Good hit by Jolly.
On the side, certainly shake any player up.
And he's just coming off, just to have a little bit of a rest.
I think he's probably looking for the next breath. Take a fair bit out of you. It's free kicking that pack.
So Ablett back pocket. That bump again. Perfectly legal in the side, but he didn't have time to tense up. Goodman, front spot. Goods thumps it down. Ball out of play in front of Stevens.
The Crows are doing that nicely tonight, just sagging off their men coming into the contest, and it was well done by Goodwin there.
Back into play. Marriage. Almost stole it out of the ruck. McVeigh to Matner. Little fumble. Good tackle by Edwards. Didn't touch him high, even though it looked as if he had no other option but to touch him high. And Van Berlo having a chat to the doc.
Doc's just giving him a pat on the back. There's not a lot you can do. Just got to sit it out for a few minutes. Just make sure that there's no concussion. But he should be right to come back on the field.
Little toe poke. Bird. O'Keefe. Open forward line for the Swans. No one inside 50, in fact. Moore couldn't trap it. Bassett does. Tries to don't argue with Barry Hall. Somehow found his foot. Moran, Rutten, Hall chases him down. Little push, but no 50. Certainly wasn't there. Knights dragged down. Gold tackle from Kirk. He wrapped him up and held him up instead of getting him in the back. Doughty brought down by McVeigh. Umpire forced the ball up.
It's really well played there by Chris Knights. He just had no other option. Basically outscored and outnumbered there, so he just held it in well. Just played dead. It was really good effort.
A lesser player would have pushed him in the back. He held up nicely as if
Umpire's down.
going to be able to feel for the push. Crowd always enjoys that. Little roar. Umpire played a free kick from the deck, and Knights takes it just beyond his range. Thumps it to the goal square. Poor pleasure down there, and a free kick, and a Swans player, Ted Richards, down.
Big attack on the ball from Nathan Bock, and he's hit Ted Richards straight down the front, and that looked like it shook him up, but he's recovered very well.
Have another look at that shortly. Kendelly towards Matner. Two Crows to beat, and they collide. Goods and Vince. Vince beats him again. Goodwin got it from Doughty. Gives it to Knights. Symes thumps it long. Kennelly in position A for this. Forced to spoil. Poor pleasure. Good contest. Grundy. Bird. Kennelly. Little fumble. Craig Bolton tried to slip it back for the 1-2. Couldn't find Kennelly. O'Keefe. Ablett stole it. Got the kick away. No Swans home. And Rutten collects. Takes on Barry Hall. Bassett hacks it out of the area. And Grundy almost the one-hander. Free kick to Brett Kirk. So Adam Goods having some work done on his buttock. What's the plur of buttocks? As Bock takes out Richards.
And you would hope that that's just routine maintenance on Adam Goods. And see that big hit on Ted Richards just was eyes firmly fixed on the ball from both players. And a big contest, big hit.
Moran thought he was about to get a kick, and then Kirk kicked it. Symes must have been touched. Symes got the call to play on. Edwards short. Bassett. 24 plays 15. Adelaide coming off 5 losses in a row. They're 8-8 as we speak right now. 8 wins, 8 losses. And they know that they're going to need 12 wins, you would think, at least, to make the finals this year. And Paul Pleasure testing that shoulder.
Well, hopefully he hasn't done any damage there, and he can continue to play, because he was on fire there in the first quarter, just setting the Crows up.
Marriage to Tippett. Edged out of it. Ablett. O'Keefe. Jolly got there, couldn't half volley it. Race on. Edwards and Bird. Edwards there first. Rutten. Doughty. Little fumble. That's enough. Bevan hunts him down. He throws it back to Rutten, who dives in with more. They collide. Both are down. Jolly lays the tackle on Bassett. Oh, he chicken winged him.
Oh, he's absolutely pinned him there.
Yeah, just held the ball in there. Bassett just need to knock it out. Yeah, you can just see Paul Pleasure, as he's just gone to lay the tackle there. He's just wrenched that shoulder again. So.
Almost identical to 2 weeks ago against Collingwood, how he reached for a tackle.
Yep.
And looks like he's in a fair amount of strife.
Everett caught for holding the ball. Symes Well, it was a gamble to play him. They knew that.
Well,
Both he and Ty Kennelly have had their shoulders pop out and in on few occasions this year. Vince. And it's a sloppy kick, although Douglas might make it look okay. Back to Knights. Dumped. Ball comes out through Moore to Ablett to Kennelly. Short. Just the required 15. Bevan. Adelaide Crows get numbers back. All the way back toward the goal square. McVeigh. Good spoil by Shirley.
A very good
Through
spoil.
behind.
McVeigh had worked back very hard into space, and that was recognised by Bevan. And good spoil in the end there.
McLeod brings it back in. Moran.
Strong hands.
Yeah, an important mark too, because at ground level they were outnumbered, the Adelaide Crows.
Short. Bok.
They continue to use the ball short, the Crows, because they know the Swans have numbers behind the ball deep.
Tippett can't get there, and it's out of play on the full. This is exactly what Adelaide did in the opening terms. You watch this mark again. They stopped the Swans from scoring early in the term and then piled on 3 quick goals. Hall edged out of it by Rutten legally. Rutten shepherds for Bassett. Stevens to Bassett. Thompson. Rutten hassled by Barry Hall, still got the handball away. Edwards play on advantage. Barry Hall with the tackle late. Edwards to Thompson. Bok can't mark. Douglas and Kennelly. Kennelly slides in, gets the handball up to Matthews. Caught. Handball smothered. Bok dives back in. Matthews steals it back again. Roberts Thompson to Everett. And now Moore can run. He's got Jude Bolton. Didn't quite hit him with the handball. Holds him up. Jack. Moore to the pocket. McVeigh held it long enough.
Good grab, and if they convert this opportunity, the Sydney Swans will be a real sting against Adelaide Crows. Their last 3 inside 50s, as we have a look at McVeigh's grab there, didn't have a lot of the ball, but the last 3 inside 50s for the Crows have hit the deck or gone out in the full. They've just got to be a bit more precise with their kicking. They're making it very difficult for their key marking targets.
He's been deadly accurate this year, Jared McVeigh. In fact, ever since Paul Roos joked about his poor goal kicking down in Launceston in that NAB Cup match where he said, well, you go, just don't kick a goal in that close game. He has been accurate this year. 21 goals 6 until that behind, 21 goals 7.
And being a midfielder too, kicking 21 goals, it's a good asset to have. He always said that he wanted to be a more offensive player. He had the negative roles, and he's doing that this year.
Well, he's really added an extra string to his bow.
McLeod told to play on, needs to be precise, and McVeigh adds the defensive aspect of his game with that spoil. Moore, Kirk, McLeod forced to spoil, didn't take an arm according to the umpire. Jack appeared to get his arm slapped. Kirk, McVeigh caught the second time and dropped it.
Great pressure from both teams. Initially, the Sydney Swans to cause the turnover, and then whilst looking in a lot of trouble, the Adelaide Crows were able to put in a good tackle and cause a turnover themselves. So good work, both teams. The intensity's right up in this game.
Andrew McLeod short to Edwards. And he takes off and takes on Jack. Not such a good idea. Caught. McLeod helps him out. To McKay. Sidesteps a couple. 15-metre pass. Campbell. It's around Bevan to Knights, and they hold possession. 24 plays 17. Adelaide by 7 points. Wide kick to Gill. Knocks it onto his own advantage. Had a couple of Swans to beat. Lays the tackle on Grundy and holds it up. Umpire let that go on for a while. McKay, he gave it up to Moore. He gives to Kirk. His kick poor. Peter Everett to Jolly. Moran front spot, knocked it down, hassled him off it. Tippett. Bevan dragged him down. Gee, it's a tough tackling game at the moment.
No one's given any space whatsoever. Another good tackle, drew the free kick. Jason Paul-Pleasure's back on the ground. He actually was standing inside 50 by himself for about 30 seconds. The Crows weren't able to capitalise on that.
So Dwyer finding the pace of this game in game number 2. Fairly slick, caught there. The 1-2 with Vincent Moran. Good build-up for Adelaide. Here's the man you spoke of. Paul-Pleasure back on. And a chance to kick the goal.
It's great work by Bernie Vince. Just did the old 1-2. Up to 13 possessions so far.
Tackle from Barry Hall, but that's a beautiful pass. Touched on the last 3 inside 50s. They weren't able to do that. They were bouncing in front of Bock and Tippett, and they just made the most of that inside 50. Go back and slot this one.
Just off the bench, back on, shoulder okay, nails the goal.
Well, he's a great kick for goal. 25 goals for the season as a small carrying forward. Been moved into the midfield as well this year. But you just see Ted Richards just lost him a little bit here. Slips over, and Paul-Pleasure just uncontested in the forward 50.
It was good work by the ball carrier to identify that Paul-Pleasure was pushing back towards the goal square, then was going to come at him in the space. That was generated by movement of the other forwards for the Adelaide Crows. So that was good work, well worked.
Barry Hall having a sit down again for Sydney. That would have been the plan A. First game back from that suspension and then club enforced psychological suspension. So finding it a fairly tough game at the moment. And the ball up. Symes. Knights. Caught. Dispossessed. Held too long. Chris Knights will take it. Crowd not happy.
Symes is out here on the wing.
They got numbers out here, actually. Just a bit lapsed by the Sydney Swans players.
And the player down behind play. Symes kicks inside 50. Grundy with the spoil. Goodwin with the crumb. Doughty gives to Paul-Pleasure.
All by himself.
Leads and has got it. So Bock to line up at goal and extend this margin to 19 points if he goals. It'll be the biggest margin of the game.
And Nathan Bock was the player involved with Lewis Roberts-Thompson. They came together, and Lewis Roberts-Thompson was very slow to get up on his feet, and that just gave Nathan Bock a bit of space to get on the lead, and was honoured by a very handy bit of foot passing.
2 goals, 2 this year. Spent the majority of his time in defence, and he's missed. Of course, Nathan Bock kicked that famous point earlier in the year against the Bulldogs in round 1. So he has had a couple of games up forward where he has been essential to their chances of winning. Likewise tonight.
He's been reluctant to Neil Craig to push Nathan Bock forward. He's been such a good player and holding that defence together for a long period of time this season.
Rotten claims the mark on the third grab. Adelaide looking strong at the moment. Bassett. Wide ball. Campbell. Vince.
We're just starting to get through the centre corridor now, which opens up options going forward.
Gill had it, but not long enough. Paul-Pleasure. Stolen from him by Richards. Turns it over. Stevens. Thompson. Clean bowls Edwards. Grundy tried to keep it in. Gill dragged down. Good tackle. Almost a throw. The way he tried to handball that away. And the umpire will need to sort this out with the ball up.
Looked almost certain to be a throw, actually. But just missed the target then, Adelaide Crows once again. But they're getting plenty of ball through the centre corridor. Just have a look at... Oh, no, that's legal. Didn't throw it in the air.
As long as you fist it off your palm. It doesn't matter how your palm or your fist is, as long as you fist it from your palm for a handball. Now, free kick to Adelaide, and this will make the natives more restless.
They haven't been happy, the natives, over the last 2 or 3 minutes with the free kick count going against the Sydney Swans of late. But now the Adelaide Crows have been able to generate another shot on goal. The pressure is right up for both teams, but just at the moment, the Crows are being rewarded. They've got the opportunity to stretch this out to a 20-point lead halfway through the second term.
It's amazing to think the Sydney Swans have been the better of the 2 teams for the last 3 years, and yet they've lost 8 of the past 9 against Adelaide. And Adelaide's won 4 of the past 5 they played here. And they're on track again with Goodwin second.
Outstanding, and led by one of their captains and their midfield have been very good. Just starting to open up the centre corridor. The Sydney Swans are so dominant through that part of the ground more often than not, but just at the moment with their run and spread off half-back, they've been able to get back through the cricket wicket and open up options. At this occasion, it was a free kick, but that's a result of some hard work and the forward 50 pressure that the whole team are putting on.
Probably a little bit stiff too, Craig Bolton, with this tackle, but just caught a little bit behind here. Drops to his knees, which is pretty good.
A little bit stiff.
I can't see much in that.
Fair to say a little bit stiff. But those sort of free kicks happen at times. You just got to make the most of them.
20 points to margin. Ball up, favours Jolly again, down to Ablett. Kick toward attacking 50. Attacked well by Dwyer in his second game. Go to O'Keefe. Bounces it to Barry Hall. His touch isn't there. Left to behind. Handball over the top. Golden opportunity. And Bird nails it.
Yeah, he just took his opportunity there, Craig Bird. Andrew McLeod just was forced to go and commit to the tackle, and he just dropped back and ran into an open goal. So good job there by Craig Bird, captain of the New South Wales under-18 team last year, who I had a little bit to do with. So terrific player. Probably more as a midfielder, but just finding his feet now at AFL level, and it was a pretty good goal.
From Nelson Bay in New South Wales, Rowan, you mentioned you had a bit to do with him. He obviously has got some talent.
Well, wearing the number 14, Dwayne, I think he's showing a little bit.
Yeah, they wouldn't just give that number away, you could be sure.
Bob Skilton and Paul Kelly. In fact, it was in mothballs for 5 years before they brought it out of retirement.
Great mark.
Bob has dislocated a finger in the marking process.
Yes, as a defender, he would be very reluctant to give this opportunity away to have a shot on goal.
Well, it's not his dropping hand, so hopefully he can drop the ball right.
Yeah, just the ball caught the end of the finger, but appears to be okay, or certainly good enough to have a ping on goal. Gives it a fair roost as well, so you'd think he'd get the journey.
For the instant reply. Already kicked it behind. It's offline. Off hands, Kirk could rush it behind him. Elects to keep it in. To Matner. Their launching pad from defence, the Matner-Kennelly run. Roberts Thompson, Ablett, Moore, good build-up. Crows getting numbers back though. Ablett looks up. Centering kick, goes for O'Dwyer. And that's 50, well, surely.
It has to be 50.
Yeah, it's 50.
Amazing that Andrew McLeod, a man who's played 298 games, Andrew McLeod, fooled by a man, and it's just his second game, Matt O'Dwyer.
Well, the Adelaide Crows players, and Andrew McLeod was one of them, was pretty certain that someone got a fair hand on it before O'Dwyer took the mark, but you just have to play the whistle.
First goal in AFL football at a crucial time for Matt O'Dwyer.
As a youngster lining up for your first goal, that's just what you need, a 50-metre penalty just to put you right in the square. As we have a look at this pass from Ablett, goes across goal towards O'Dwyer. He was outnumbered 2-1, but the ball was out in front of him. And there's a touch here, was the feeling from the Adelaide Crows players, and that's why Andrew McLeod's gone on with it. But obviously didn't hear the whistle, and in the context of the game, which is going to be pretty tight, a bad mistake.
Turned 20 years of age this week, Matt O'Dwyer. Began this season on the rookie list for the second year in a row and has played his way onto the senior list.
Nathan Box fingers back in and he looks okay.
From the ball up, Shirley roved it nicely. Knights. Wide ball, and that's almost, it is a good grab to Symes, who didn't know what traffic was coming. He put his body on the line regardless, Brad Symes. A kick and hope. And he hopes almost McKay into it. Goodwin dives in. McKay dives in. Kennelly in there holding it in. Get a ball up 37-29.
Big numbers back for both teams. Crows have pushed their loose men up into the forward 50 for this stoppage.
Tippett, third man up, knocks it down. McKay around the body. Did it clip the post? He likes it. He's got his first in AFL footy.
Well, Kurt Tippett he played as a ruckman in the forward line as well. It was a pretty good tap there down to McKay. Took the most of his opportunity back into the centre corridor.
And they pride themselves, the Sydney Swans, at these stoppage situations, whether it's in their forward line or their defensive half. And that's a big goal for the Adelaide Crows.
Boy, is that so often now, boys, when guys kick a goal and then they come straight off the ground.
Just a routine I think everyone's got into.
Because they know their heart rate's at about 160 beats a minute, so it's a good time to give them a rest and get it down. Jolly up the side, and Moran takes the mark. 5 minutes from half-time. Swans on the ropes. Trailed by as much as 20 points. Bassett.
Oh, turnover. And Goods running back towards goal.
And Barry Hall gets a rare touch. It's almost a throw. Kirk, he got it from Moore. He couldn't find a target. Knights sends it wide. McLeod corralled, got the kick away. By the way, that was Barry Hall's second possession for the game. Bryce Campbell.
He's working hard, Bock.
And Bock sends it inside 50. Doughty left it for Gill. In fact, it was Tippett who slid in. Couldn't take the mark. Hand off. Douglas got it from Doughty. Kicks it towards Bock. Hassles Grundy out of it. Bock in the pocket. Hands it off to Tippett. Caught by Kennelly. Loops the handball forward. And is that prior opportunity? Kieran Jack put the fend off out. The umpire gave him the benefit of the doubt.
The umpire said he only just took possession. There wasn't a lot in it.
He tried to fend off, but it was great forward pressure by the Crows.
Interesting, isn't it? If you've got time to put your hand up to fend off, maybe you've got time to handball it. Mapner. O'Keefe sends it outside 50. Goodwin attacks it nicely. Symes back to him. Centering kick, top of the square. Bock flies from 4 deep. O'Keefe. Swans have numbers back now. Trying to stop the Adelaide flow. Vince. Bassett. Stevens. Set him up with the handball. It's almost a two-possession handoff. Bassett toward Tippett. Poor pleasure. Dangerous man in this spot. Kicks his second of the term.
He's a dangerous player, poor pleasure. You just can't give him any room in their forward 50.
And you have a look there. That right wing is not too good. He's still carrying it a fair bit, but he is such a dangerous player, whether it's in the midfield or in that forward 50. His second goal for this second term. Bassett starting to get plenty of the ball. He's had 13 disposals, Vince 16. Leading the way for the Sydney Swans. Kirk up to 18 disposals, but at the moment, it's the Adelaide Crows.
2 goals for poor pleasure, and who knows, a big finish to this season for him. He might even find himself in the All-Australian team. He's got some big names he's contending against, guys like Paul Medhurst and Steve Johnson, and maybe even Ryan O'Keefe, who's out there for the Swans tonight. But had an outstanding season, poor pleasure. 26 goals, 12 now for the year, and Paul Roos has some worries.
Yeah, just see a few concerns there for Paul Roos. A little frustrated by a few things going on the ground.
They trailed Carlton by a big margin last week and came back to win that in a thriller. Jolly finds Jack. Barry Hall can't get there. It was a poor kick. Tough one. He couldn't mark it. Tapped it to his own advantage, and Thompson cuts it off to Shirley. Jack dragged down, wrap around tackle. We'll get a ball up. 49-29.
Very handy lead.
Chopping of the arms, maybe.
Jolly trying to slap it down. Matthews, boundary line. And the boundary umpire can toss it in.
You'd think the Adelaide Crows would be pretty content to go in 20 points up. They'll be desperate not to concede one with 2 minutes to go in this term.
Jolly to Kirk. Set play that. Practice that in the centre of the ground for 15 minutes before the game started. Goods and Stevens dive in. Knock it out if you can. The umpire pleads. And we'll get a ball up. Neil Craig. His assistants. Ben Hart there, as you saw, at the back of the box. Moore to McVeigh. Has the shot. And he misses.
Brad Moran's just got to be a little bit more clever going up third man up. Just tapped it straight to the Swans players then.
Good mark from David McKay. Symes the chip. Gill.
They might chip it around here too, the Crows, just to keep possession.
Moran almost, and the push out.
Yeah, reasonable shove. The left arm or left hand into the back.
And Bevan's kick cut off by Knights. Thumps it long, goal square the target. Kennelly down there, he missed it. Paul Pleasure's got 3 for the term.
Well, Paul Pleasure's matched up against Ted Richards at the moment. It just looks like he's got a little bit too much speed for him. Just the ball coming in. Well done by Chris Knights. Just the reading of the play. Got it in quickly. Good body work there by Douglas, and Paul Pleasure over the back. As I said, he's just got a little bit too much pace there for Ted Richards. I think the Sydney Swans might have to have a little bit of a look at this matchup. Kicked 3 goals for the quarter.
A 3-goal quarter for Jason Paul Pleasure, and Sydney will go in at half-time on the canvas. 55 plays 30. Jolly in the ruck. Marich has done well against him. About 20 players around this ball up. Little push and shove.
Umpire in the forward 50s pulled a free kick out in favour of the Sydney Swans, just holding off the ball.
So McInerney, umpire McInerney picked that out. Long kick. Barry Hall again found himself out of position. Jude Bolton to Ablett. Wobbler towards the goal line, and McLeod does the clever thing.
Yeah, a bit of experience there. Didn't want to risk spilling the mark, so just a good defensive spoil straight through and quick exit of the defensive 50, and they're away again, the Crows.
Stevens, who beats Goods with a little too much ease. Knights to half forward. Bouncing ball. Good tackle laid by Bevan. Little kick away from McKay. Paul Pleasure, the danger man, couldn't do it from there. Centering kick. Luckily O'Keefe cuts it off.
You just said the ease in which Goods was beaten on that contest. Hasn't touched the ball in this second term.
And Bryce Gibbs kept him to 7 possessions last week, and we thought that was just a day off for Adam Goods, but he's in danger of having 2 RDOs in a row.
Just the second effort just wasn't quite there that we know Adam Goods has certainly got.
Moore pops it up. Barry Hall has also had very little influence so far. Threads his way through traffic to have some influence here. Sends it long, brings it around. It's all about the bounce. Jude Bolton from mid-air with 9 seconds left. Kicks the behind.
That ball was floating all over the place. It was going to be very difficult for Jude Bolton to grab that one, and just a bit of an indicator of how Barry Hall's night is going. When he's up and going, that would have snapped that goal from 50.
Half-time at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and the Adelaide Crows are halfway to playing their way back inside the top 8 tonight. The Sydney Swans, who have been kept to low scores by Adelaide quite often in recent years, and have lost 8 of the past 9 to the Adelaide Crows. Kept to just 5 goals in their 1 meeting last year, the Sydney Swans, and they've got 4 goals to half-time here in front of their home crowd. Adelaide lead by 23 points, 8-7-55 to 4-8 32. Second half about to get underway at the Sydney Cricket Ground. 4th versus 9th on the AFL ladder. And at the moment, it's the Adelaide Crows who sit 9th, lead by 23 points, but they're a man down, guys. Nathan Van Berlo just to the right there with the tracksuit on, didn't warm up. And this is the hit that put him on the bench.
So the big hit, Darren Jolly's coming, run past the ball, and that's very heavy contact. We think it's fair, but it is heavy contact, and he's obviously got a bit of concussion and will struggle now to actually take any further part in the game. Thought it might have been just a good knock the breath out of him to start with, but looks like it's a bit more severe than that.
Is it fair? Do you think the ball goes past him? Do you think it's fair?
He didn't make any contact with the head and the ball was within 5 metres.
Okay.
I feel it was fair.
Okay.
We don't want that out of the game.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
So you're saying it's not fair?
No, I'm just saying the ball goes past him, he leaves the ball and goes for the man.
I think in that situation he should have been expecting some contact.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yep.
55 plays 32. The match review panel on your instigation there, Rowan. Might have a look at it on Monday. We're underway, second half at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And McVeigh immediately to Jack, slips it to O'Keefe. They need him to fire, and he fires wide. Out of play on the full. O'Keefe coming off a 29 possession, 3-goal game last week. Ryan O'Keefe, and still getting high in the possessions tonight. That was possession number 18, but no goals.
He's probably playing higher up the ground too, Dwayne, tonight,
Yep.
where I reckon they might, in this second half, playing closer to goal.
Especially with Barry Hall not firing. Barry Hall, no goals and 3 possessions to half-time. Kirk and Craig Bolton sends it towards Moore. Outreach by Bassett, knocked down Rutten. They combine so well. Bassett, Rutten to McLeod, although McLeod was run down. Symes back to Rutten, back to Bassett. Moran. Rutten. Where's Bassett?
Good pressure from the Swans just to hold the Crows back in their defensive 50.
Shirley. Jude Bolton tracks him. He gets away and pokes it to Knights. Good fist from Bevan. Knights had a good grab on it, but not long enough. And there is the rooms where we understand Henry Playfair is currently spending some time after his hamstring injury, and he might not come back on the Sydney Swans either. So both teams could be a man down. Ablett wobbles it inside 50. Tough kick to grab though. Vince to McLeod. Kick not so good. Gill, an impossible ball to grab. McVeigh back to the ex-Adelaide boy, Heath Grundy from Norwood, some club that gave the Swans Nick Fosdyke. And now McVeigh, centre and kick to LRT, who can play on but didn't want to. Goes to the open side now. And captaining the side tonight, Craig Bolton might need to help drive them home. Jolly. Hands off immediately to O'Dwyer. Moore can't get there for the fist, and Bassett, strong hands.
There's big numbers back there, the Adelaide Crows. They are dropping big numbers back. They continue to do that. They was very strong on that decision in the first quarter to get numbers behind the ball, make it very difficult on Barry Hall.
Mackner would spoil his old mate Goodwin. Kick is okay. O'Dwyer made it okay. Marks on the wing. Kick not so good from the second gamer. Might turn it over. Marich handball missed the target. O'Keefe to Ablett. Craig Bolton short. Barry Hall can't get anywhere near it again. And he meets Edwards. And Edwards' toe poke might meet the boundary line.
Nathan Bassett does that so well, doesn't he? He just reads the play, he's in contact with his man, and just comes out and just helps Rutten here and just spoils the ball on Barry Hall.
See Barry Hall
a little bit frustrated, a little bit.
That's okay. That's fair.
Nothing wrong with that. He's just certainly getting frustrated because the numbers that are getting back for the Adelaide Crows making it very difficult for him to lead into space. And you're spot on, Rowan. Nathan Bassett does extremely well. You almost got to just hit up his opponent.
Yeah.
You've got to use his opponent to make Bassett accountable.
Vance almost met high, taken to the boundary, got a little kick on it. And the ball out of play, bring it in. Crowd with a few boos.
A few happy Crows supporters there at this stage of the game.
Quite a few have come up for the trip, or maybe they're Adelaide residents here, as Vince's kick smothered and ricochets out of play.
This will be a big test. This third term, Adelaide Crows haven't won a third term over the last month. Just a little toe on that little drop.
I reckon that's holding the ball.
Yeah, it hit the ground.
I don't reckon he got a toe on that one at all.
Drop kick.
Drop kick. He's got to claim a drop kick. You're not old enough to know about them.
Stevens' kick out of play on the full.
You can be sure Duano is.
With the old bang-in stops and the hard toe boots.
You would have played in the lace-up jumpers, wouldn't you, Geelong?
Oh, yes. And at Port Adelaide, the lace-ups. Hard to tackle in the lace-ups. Broke a few fingers, though, and that's why they outlawed them. McVeigh hassled over the boundary line and will get a ball in. 55 to 32. Good signs for Adelaide. And that's a nice grab. Back
That's
with
a
the
good
fly.
one. Nick Riewoldt like.
On the ball in. Another free. And again, it's an Adelaide free to Thompson. Hands off to McLeod. The general from the back pocket sends it wide. Marriage can't mark. Shepherd's now for Knights. Edwards. Open forward line. Gill's on the move. Got it. Hands have been strong tonight, Nick Gill.
He's presented well.
Thumps it long towards the goal square. Big fly and another mark. Not paid to Bock. Well, he had a big hold on it.
Yeah, would have thought he had enough of possession there to pay the mark.
If it wasn't that, it was an arm that was fisted. Or a hand. Have a look at this again.
In long. Oh, that's a mark that's come down and hit Roberts Thompson on the knee and jarred the ball out.
So some luck there for the Swans. Matner, McVeigh. Ablett looks up and despair. Barry Hall, can he get a flight this? Oh, Bassett back with the flight. Barry Hall came hard and Bassett lives to tell the tale. Moran, Vince.
Nice work.
Around McVeigh, he's growing as a player, Bernie Vince, having an outstanding year, and that pass.
Gee, they honour the
sums
lead
it up.
short.
Goodwin's kick not so good. Good opportunity here for the Swans. Grundy, Kirk, to the open side they peel. Craig Bolton. He's got Matthews, needs to hit him. Matthews back into the side, game number 198 now. O'Dwyer, and he finds Richards.
Had a look at the courage of Nathan Bassett going with the flight of the ball there. Didn't take possession of the ball, but just caused the Spirits to make it difficult for Barry Hall once again.
Good transfer of play, though, for the Swans. Switched the play outside the wing from Kirk.
Just saw Ted Richards, who struggled in that second term, has been pushed forward.
Big kick this. Across the face and thumped through, and just can't quite find the big opening in crucial stages of games. Ted Richards are behind. Speaking of milestones, could play his 100th game before the end of the season. Ted Richards has been a long road for him.
He's been a very good player since he's come up to the Sydney Swans.
33 games for the Bombers to start his career. Found it tough to get a game. Shirley to Knights, just inside the line. Poor pleasure, well watched by Craig Bolton. This ball thumped long. Gill and O'Keefe flies, and the fist wins out and get a ball in.
And Craig Bolton certainly won't give Jason Pleasure the room that he had in the first half from Ted Richards, so it's going to be a little bit of a different second half for Pleasure.
Paul Roos knows how critical beating Port Pleasure is. 3 goals in that second term alone. If you just joined us, Port Pleasure, 3 goals in that second quarter. Now a free kick's been found.
He's paid holding the ball.
Just holding on to it. Just holding it in. Like you know it's not going to hurt at all.
Gee,
You'd have a reasonable argument. There was a few players that had their hand
let's
on the
have a
ball
look
there.
at this. Where was his?
Where does he get that out?
Where was his prior opportunity in that? He
How
had
does he get that out?
absolutely no opportunity to dispose of.
I wouldn't have thought it was the umpire's best decision tonight, but Sydney Swans supporters in the crowd, especially after that second term, would be fairly happy that a couple had just gone their way.
Absolutely no prior opportunity at all.
That's a beauty.
If you're going to play holding the ball for that, you're going to encourage players not to take possession. just sweat off and laid the tackles. Ablett has it at half-back.
Trying to draw the man.
Craig Bolton looks up, and normally you'd thump it long to Barry Hall, but he's in a 1-on-2. Grundy. Matner. Oh, he missed Craig Bolton. Danger here. O'Dwyer mops it up. Caught. Craig Bolton hands it up. Kirk traps it. Gives to Kennelly. Now the run. Short kick. Richards. 80 from goal. Pokes it short.
McVay's all by himself at the top of the goal square.
10 goalless minutes played in this third term so far. Long thump. McVay can't get anywhere near it. And Marriage takes the mark.
Good shepherd by Shirley there too, just to protect the marker.
He's actually done that a couple of times, Shirley, in this quarter. He's supporting his teammates extremely well, so that was very smart defensive work.
Symes to McKay to Knights.
Kept his eyes on the ball, was good.
In the meantime, and now Thompson has it on the wing. Goodwin, a couple to beat. Lewis Roberts-Thompson backs back with the flight.
This game is going to go down to whoever delivers the ball into their forward 50 properly.
And just over the last quarter and a half, Adelaide Crows have been able to hit up their forward targets by honouring the short lead. There's a couple of good marks from the Sydney Swans players. On that occasion, it was Ryan O'Keefe.
O'Keefe short. McVay. Ablett. And now Matner. It's all about the delivery again. He might go the journey. Runs to 50. Sizes them up. And kicks a big, long monster.
Touched. Well, the goal umpire signalled touched.
Oh, no. He's paid a behind.
Well, I'm not sure where, we'll have a look at the replay, where he thought the ball was touched. We see the ball coming long here, go towards the goal line. And there's no way that might have hit the pad. Has it hit the pad? If it was touched, it was a foot over the line.
Gee.
He signalled touched. He didn't signal it's touched the post.
Well, it's the pads are fairly thick here at the SCG, so maybe he's taken that into account.
Yeah, but he hasn't hit the post and said behind.
That wasn't the decision.
He said touched and said behind. And confused himself. Free kick. It'll go to Moore. Okay, we'll get Snicko out shortly and we'll let you know whether that did just touch the padding. But
there's been a couple of good decisions in this quarter.
Goal from here. Bird hands off to O'Dwyer. Inside 50 towards Matthews. Hands in the back of McLeod.
Kick just had to go a little bit longer. Andrew McLeod was sitting there in front of Matthews, and it just had to go over the top of McLeod's head. Barry
Hall having another rest. Symes. 3 possession, no goal night for Barry Hall.
I just wonder whether it might be the go to get him the centre half back, get him in the midfield. Just there is certainly an emphasis on Barry Hall's goal output, and I think just if you can take that pressure away from him, it might help his overall game.
Rutten towards Goodwin. Good knockdown by Kennelly. Took the ball, didn't take an arm. Goodwin keeps it alive. Gets the handball back again from Douglas. He might go the journey. Sends it long, goal square. That one's touched.
It's a good kick. Just needed that extra metre to carry far enough. So I think it was Bock on the goal line. Could put the body pressure on. Have a look at this goal that was awarded as a point.
Does it touch the top of the post?
But that's not what
top of the pad there.
Yeah, it looks like it may have, but that's not what the decision was. Yeah. The decision was that a Crows player has actually touched it. So not sure on that one. Inconclusive whether it touched the padding.
Well, the central umpire said go the lesser. If you're unsure, he had to go the lesser, which is the rule. And we'll not play that audio again, but that's exactly what was said. And so the umpire, goal umpire that is, had no choice but to pay behind because he wasn't sure. O'Keefe lays the tackle. Swans fans know that it's becoming crisis time now.
There's Adam Goods, just been moved to full forward. He's just had the 5 touches to this stage, so looking to put him at full forward just to try and generate some goals.
No disposals since quarter time for Goods.
Geez, some big names are down. Thompson sends it inside 50. Douglas pursues it. Matner pursues him. Campbell. Thompson flies, can't take the mark. And O'Keefe, as you mentioned, Rowan hasn't spent a lot of time up forward, takes that out in the back pocket, Ryan O'Keefe.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a catch-22 there, playing Ryan O'Keefe deep in defence.
Tippett. Knights. Misses.
So that would have been devastating for the Swans to concede another goal. But the problem is they conceded at least another shot on goal from one of those forward pocket stoppages. Adelaide Crows have been very good in that situation, as is the blood rule, and that's Nathan Bock will come from the ground. Just a
so they'll do a triple change here, Adelaide.
3 changes.
Well, it's a great opportunity to get those rotations out of the road. So
McKay and Symes and Bock coming off.
And clubs have had difficulty making the changes they want to make during quarters when the ball is so often so far away from the interchange bench. They don't want to reduce their team to 16 and 17 men. But they do want to get the changes so their players can get a rest a quarter each at least. So stop.
Plenty of time for the Crows to get their zone well and truly set. The Sydney Swans did huddle up, and they've all broken to all parts of their defensive 50.
Matner, long kick, and Jolly with the tie-up on Tippett. Will take the free. Darren Jolly.
Just the left arm of young Tippett across Jolly's shoulder.
A pretty good year, Kurt Tippett, though. Every game in his debut season, you can't ask for much more than that, even though he hasn't had a big influence tonight.
No, he hasn't had a big goal influence for a couple of months, but the Adelaide Crows selector is just very happy with the way he competes at full forward and also when he goes into the ruck.
Doughty spears the pass to Douglas. Half volley was beautiful. Handball not so good, but Knights under pressure. Jude Bolton, Bird, Kennelly, little looping handball back to Jude Bolton. Breaks free, gets the handball to Jack. Now Matthews, now Richards on 50.
Kennelly's out.
And Ty Kennelly takes the mark. And he has spent Ty Kennelly. It was a 3-possession string for Ty Kennelly to finish it with a goal.
Such a dangerous runner off half-back. You see Ted Richards has had an impact up forward. I see the exhaustion from Ty Kennelly.
Strapped up like Tutankhamun. He's got the knee strapped where the patella would pop out last year, and that was the worry for him. It kept popping out. And this year it's been the shoulder that's kept popping out for him. Starts it right and can't pop this one in. In fact, it's marked on the behind line by Stevens.
So often that happens when a player works so hard, he gets a shot at goal and just struggles to make the distance.
Stevens has been very good on Adam Goods. He's run with him for most of the last 2 quarters.
Former teammate, of course, Stevens and Adam Goods, so he knows him well. Edwards, Doughty, Shirley. Controlling this ball, although that one's a turnover. Richards, he turns it back over again. Tippett's handball misses the target. Douglas offloaded by Jude Bolton. Vince comes in just as hard. Gets the 1-2 at Knights. Sends it inside 50. Bevan front spot. Held it long enough.
Yeah, just got back. Bevan, we have a look at the push in the back against Adam Goods from Stevens there. And the rule is that that's a free kick. And the great attack on the ball here.
Good hit by Jude Bolton.
The domino effect. It took a couple out. Craig Bird. Lewis Roberts Thompson. 57-34. 19 minutes gone, third term. McVeigh. Crows by 23 points.
Just
Roberts
forwards
Thompson.
are all covered.
Back to Bird. Pressure on the kick from Campbell. And Barry Hall drops the mark. And that was there for all money to be taken. He is not a confident man at the moment, Barry Hall. And Rutten takes it through for a behind. First game back from that psychological club-enforced suspension, with every women's magazine and newspaper and television program have talked about his love triangle over the last month, and there is no doubt whatsoever Barry Hall is just a shadow of his former self at the moment. Short pass, McVeigh. Held up on the wing. Moore. Hard part for Sydney is to win the flag. They need Barry Hall back and playing well. Otherwise they can't win it.
There's no doubt about that. There's been a lot of pressure as he goes for the ball here.
And Rutten wins.
And just, I mean, the fact is he hasn't actually played a lot of football this season. He's been out for an enormous amount of time, and it would have been mentally so draining over the last few weeks, and he come out and play against Adelaide Crows that pushed numbers back, and one of the best in the competition pick him up.
McVeigh from the pocket. His attempt at a banana doesn't bend. Another behind. Yeah, so it's tough for Barry Hall, but it's tough for the Swans now. They need to play him and play him into form if they're to be a threat in September. They're still fourth on the ladder, of course.
And it doesn't help too with Michael O'Loughlin being out. So Barry Hall's really going to get the number one backman of each club.
Surely. To the wing, Bach holds it just inside the line. Adelaide have been quite content to play some defensive football at times in this game, and with this lead they're very comfortable. Marriage. Dowd, he can run. Paul Pleasure calls it back to the square. Oh, he stops and comes back. Perfect lead.
It was smart play. It was about knowing the capabilities and the intentions of your teammates. And once again, the Adelaide Crows are using the ball short into their forward line. They know their small forwards are going to hit up, continue to hit up short leads. And this man has been very impressive since injuring his shoulder in that first term.
3 goals from 8 possessions so far. Hits the post. Had a good crack at it.
Yeah, it was a good kick. It was on line right from the start, but just faded away right at the end.
They are fat posts. Very big posts. It's amazing the record the Adelaide Crows. We've touched on a few times. Certainly 8 out of the last 9 is extraordinary while the Swans have been so good. It's 18 out of 27 as well. There's no better record in the competition against the Sydney Swans than the Adelaide Crows have.
Because the Swans have been a powerhouse of the competition in the last 5 years.
And even further back, I think it was 2003. Yep, 2003. That's 5 years, isn't it, Wayne? Yeah, basically. I was going to say they played in the prelim final. I thought I was going to grab another year off it.
Adelaide has been a contender in almost all of those years, though. Unfortunately, just haven't been able to make a grand final. And one of those years, of course, they were top of the ladder and said to be unbeatable to about round 14, and just couldn't kick on that season.
And they've had some bad injuries at the wrong time of the season and continue to do that.
And Adelaide fans will tell us, as much as you say O'Loughlin's out for Sydney, Burton just one of those out for Adelaide. O'Keefe gets the kick away towards the wing. Bouncing ball. Bassett gets there first and does the percentage thing. Finds the line. Because we've played 23 minutes. Third term. 2 minutes 17 left on the clock. Adelaide by 22. Marriage lets the ball hit the deck. Pack of players around it. Stolen out by Shirley. To Edwards. To half forward, and O'Keefe takes a good strong grab. And he virtually has been playing at half back because they've needed him there. Robbing Peter to play Paul.
He's coming in for his 24th possession. He's just had his 24th possession now, but just being up in the back half of the ground, it's just not being damaging at the moment.
Almost a turnover. Richards. O'Keefe breaks the tackle. Short pass is good to Grundy. Adelaide getting numbers back, though. With each passing second Grundy takes to give this off. Craig Bolton can go long. The leads come. It's cut off. Good spoil, but Vince couldn't make something of it. Grundy picked it back up. Craig Bolton gave it up to Jack. He thumps it long to the pocket. Everett with the reach.
It's on the right side for a left footer too.
He's trying to just creep around to help with the angle, but once again forced wide, and certainly they had to overpossess the ball. But when the forward half opened up, they attacked that forward 50 line and found the target in Everett.
Only kicked one goal this year, and he hits the post. The goal umpire's been in the spotlight a bit.
They're fat posts, Lynchy.
They're very fat posts. Adam Goods having a spell on the pine at the moment, still only the 5 possessions, so almost a half of a game without touching the ball.
Well, you can see he come to the bench in the second quarter, just getting some treatment to his hamstrings. You just wonder if he is injured at the moment.
They've kicked 4-13, Sydney. Had they kicked 13-4, they'd be in front. Knights toward Gill. Roberts-Thompson spins out of trouble. The seconds tick. Bird. Don't want to turn it over here and see another goal kicked. Kennelly, danger. They can rush it behind. O'Keefe looks up with a couple of options to Kennelly. And they mop up the seconds to three-quarter time dangerously. But the Adelaide Crows in the box seat to play their way back inside the top 8 tonight. And on track for another victory against the Sydney Swans. At the last change, 8-10-58 Adelaide, Sydney 4-13-37. Three-quarter time at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and it's the Adelaide Crows at the last change by 21 points. 8-10-58 to 4-13-37. At least we think that's the score, because there's a conversation out there at the moment where the umpires are all trying to confirm exactly what is the score. The goal umpires, Sergio Villagra and Tristan Symes, they're having a chat with the field umpires Nichols, Armstrong and McInerney, and this is the one that there's a bit of confusion over. No all clear given. It was thought to have been a behind. Andrew McLeod kicks it in, and we just need Alistair Lynch and Rowan Smith to make a judgment. Boys, what do you think we should do?
What happened, Dwayne? Well, Ben Rutten actually come back into play a little bit like Joel Bowden last week, I suppose, rushed to behind. And Andrew McLeod picked the ball up straight away, and the umpire hasn't called all clear, and the umpire wants to signal a point, but Andrew McLeod just played on straight away, and it was gone, and then the umpires just called the game as it's gone on, and so they haven't registered a point. So the Sydney Swans should probably be one more point.
So a point wasn't put onto the scoreboard, you're saying?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Well, what they're saying probably now is that it should be 4 goals 14, not 4 goals 13.
No, I think it actually was put on. Now they're just trying to work through. Oh. So that's where there's confusion everywhere at the moment. Should be probably one less point, but we'll see what happens here. There may be a change. Been plenty of pressure on the goal umpires, and the umpires in general are certainly in that third term.
Well, you can see the AFL guy now just on the phone, so maybe he might be talking to the scoreboard attendant. They might have to change it.
Well, they have to cross the flags if there's an alteration, I think, from my goal umpiring days. But there's been no official alteration. Oh, goal umpired the under-12s a few times, as all good dads do. Well, let's hope it. Not too sure whether we hope it does or doesn't come down to a behind.
Well, yeah, we probably hope it doesn't. But once again, the Adelaide Crows did not win a third term. That's 5 weeks in a row.
We'll let you know as soon as we get the all clear as to what's happening with that behind. But we are underway in the final term at the SCG. The 4th on the ladder, Sydney Swans, and the 9th on the ladder, Adelaide Crows. And this one going to script for Adelaide.
Just a holding.
Free kick to Adam Goods off the ball. He's been held, harassed, annoyed all night.
That'll be a relief for him. First possession since the first term.
It's amazing. Matner Thumps it long. Barry Hall's down there. Can't get a run at it. Bassett's fist, as it has done so often tonight. And for his amazing 204-game career, wins out, thumps it across the line. Rutten on Barry Hall has kept him down to 3 possessions and no goals. From the ball in, Jolly with the palm. Kirk dives in. The captain trying to start something. Ties up Knights, who got it out. Marriage got a toe on the ball. Knights, who kicks it outside 50. Edwards and Matner. And O'Keefe knocks it across the line. Sydney Swans have won 6 of their past 7 last quarters. And they've come from behind to win games in a couple of those. Can they do it again at home? Marriage and Jolly. Perfect palm down Jolly to Jude Bolton towards Barry Hall. Can't get a run at it. Almost Matthews got a paw on it, but it wasn't enough. Vince, a little bounce. Possession number 22. Short to Gill. Can't mark. Kirk, and down the rebound. Jude Bolton thumps it long. Bassett with a fist again. He must have no skin on those knuckles, surely. McLeod. Bassett. And we'll see whether this is a behind. He just taunted and teased Ted Richards to come at him. It is a behind. McLeod. And now Moran. Late inclusion.
He's played well tonight, Brad Moran.
Up here is the emergency.
He's been well, and the other guy that was brought into the team, Gill, he just hasn't, the ball hasn't stuck in his hands. He presented very well, but just dropped a couple of marks.
And often that is the case with a half forward / full forward. You do need someone to compete, even if they're not marking it. And he's been competing well at least.
Yeah, I think that's been a big plus for the Crows. Gill's attack on the ball.
Moran again.
Double teaming again, so good job by Stevens to hold out his man, letting Moran come third man in.
It makes it very difficult. When you're bombing in long and you're outnumbered under a high ball, it's difficult for the likes of Goods and Barry Hall.
Vince, just his 27th game. To Symes, to Marich, and Vince is almost the quarterback at the moment for Adelaide. Hands off to McLeod. McLeod heads toward Thompson, bumped off it. And bumped illegally, according to the umpire. Taikanini seemed to have been making position there.
He's saying he used his shoulder, but the decision was a push in the back, regardless whether it's hands or shoulder. Still a free kick. Might have been a bit tough on Kennelly, but that was the call.
Moran to Marich. There's the bump. Gee,
not much.
Yeah, not much in that.
100 of those a game. Marich long. Gill. Good fist from Grundy. Thumps it down. Bock dives in, but Lewis Roberts Thompson keeps his feet. Jolly. Craig Bolton. Marty Matner takes off down the wing. Hall calls for a short. Matner goes long. Matthews getting back. Marks on the line.
Well, you called it, Dwayne. It was right on the line. The goal umpire was right there, and he's marked it right on the line.
He would think his way through this one. Take 2 steps out to the right and just snap it around. Bassett's there, close, ready to lunge forward.
Important kick. He misses.
There's that fat post again, Lynchy.
Another behind hits the post. And by the way, gentlemen, that behind has been taken away. There was no all clear given. It was put on the board with no all clear. And so that behind has been taken away.
We just saw then the Ryan O'Keefe. You've said, Smithy, how he's spent a lot of time in the back half. His attack on the ball generated that shot on goal. He's got fantastic work rate. He's one of the very best players in the competition. Just went in lower and harder than his opponent there, Nathan Bock.
No doubt about that.
Jolly and Ablett do the ruck work. Goods shrugs a tackle, hands it off, but Symes in a good battle with O'Keefe. And we'll get another ball up. It's been a good pickup. Brad Symes from Port Adelaide. This is his 9th game of 2008. 7 games last year for Port Adelaide, including that losing grand final, of course. You saw Neil Craig and Adelaide Crows Brains Trust. They've got this one if they can hold on. Edwards got it from Thompson. Gives it to Stevens. And the mark taken by Bryce Campbell. Chip kick, poor pleasure. Hands off, and Symes on cue, might go the whole way, sends it long, free kick, a holding free.
Against Kennelly.
Against or for Kennelly.
Against.
It's a goal regardless to Brad Symes.
And there it is again, Jason Portpleasure being the lead-up target, running back towards goal and then doubles back. Just gives off the hands to Brad Symes. And a good kick from outside 50. You can see that the hold there by Kennelly, just couldn't get a nail on it. It was good by Douglas, just tried to put a little bit of a shepherd on. Not
So
much
it's a
in
free
that
for
either.
the hold first before the free for the trip. Goal to Brad Symes, his second of the year. Could have been a couple of frees paid in that defensive goal square. Might have a look at that again shortly. Sydney Swans are on the canvas and they might not get up from this one. Tippett knocks it down. Edwards. And he's back. Free kick Edwards.
Again,
everyone stopped. Thompson plays on and hits Bock. It would have been harder to get out of the way of that one than take the mark.
Once again, the Adelaide Crows coming through that centre corridor, honouring the lead, and those 30-metre passes just hitting the targets. There's a free kick there, pushing the back. Play on was called Thompson, just a short pass. Bock was good enough to get on the lead into some space.
It's hard when players are attuned to stop on the whistle, and then you get the play on advantage call. Bock from 40. Misses.
Just has kept a little bit of life in the Sydney Swans. The Swans have worked extremely hard. Their tackling pressure, their chasing has been good. Just their decision-making going forward is what's hurt them. And the fact that they've kicked so many points when having some reasonable shots on goal is really killing the Swans.
Craig Bolton and Kennelly combined to get it to the wing. Adam Goods lays the tackle on Doughty. Almost took him on there, Doughty. And gets the benefit of the doubt. Ball up on the wing. 27 points the margin, the biggest lead of the game. Free kick in the ruck. Against Tippett, goes to Jolly.
Just haven't been able to think their way through this extra man defence that the Adelaide Crows have been putting into play for most part of the game.
Matner runs to the corridor. Now Gill comes at him. Now Bock comes at him. Roberts Thompson. Box man sends it wide. Stevens in the hole. Richards outmarks him. Play on, touched. Goods. No one's in the goal square. Short. And the mark to Jared McVeigh. And this is a massive kick.
Very important kick. Just got it, and the umpire's going to bring him around on a really tight angle. He'll look to go inboard, but there's just that many Crows defenders back in the forward 50 for the Swans. It'd be hard to hit up a target. I think his only option is going to be a shot on goal.
4 straight goals last week, Jared McVeigh. He's kicked 3 behind so far tonight. He's kicked 4 behinds and no goals tonight.
I'm not going to say it again, Lynchy.
They are facts.
McKay. Vince. Edwards. And each second that passes is a win for Adelaide now. Knights.
They've been able to do this for most of the game, work across half-back, then start to chip inboard.
Yep.
And they've been able to get into that centre corridor, which has been a massive win. We see them come out wide. There is no doubt they'll just start to try to edge their way back into the cricket wicket area.
Just the short 15-metre, the minimum chips. They are. They're little chips that go the minimum distance. And they're almost the king of the minimum chips, Adelaide. At times like these, in last quarters. Knights.
Short lead again.
Yep. And Goodwin loves to take the ball straight above his head, Simon Goodwin. And dumps it long. Top of the square. Douglas flies. O'Keefe crumbs and crunch too high. Wins himself a free.
Not surprising to see that man at the bottom of the pack again.
He's hurt, though.
He is hurt, but he's gone in very low and copped a knee from Thompson there. Knee to the right ear.
Tough guy, though, Ryan O'Keefe. 116 games in a row now. Hasn't missed through injury or report. And a grand campaigner for them. Ablett sees the ball out of play. And we'll get a ball in. Back into play. Tippett against Everett. Thompson. O'Keefe again. Bird. Sends it wide. Grundy will have to go back and collect it. And that allows Adelaide to get players behind the ball. Craig Bolton. Played 12 minutes now, final term. Ty Kennelly, and now McVeigh can go here. Sees Richards lead up. Hits him with the pass. Too far out to score. 55 from goal. Barry Hall calls it back to the goal square. Now Hall leads short in his direction. If he can get there, he's got it. But it's on the most acute of angles.
Just like to see him go back and just slot this one. But he's not confident. And he's been brought around right onto the fence. He's been given very little space today by the defence of the Adelaide Crows and Ben Rutten.
Massive kick for his confidence. You wouldn't read about it, would you? Well, you probably will tomorrow. Another poster.
He hit it beautifully off the boot, but just snicked that right post.
Edwards. Short pass from him to Stevens. And again, the minimum chips. Just 15-metre passes. Symes, and he turns it over. O'Keefe. And he looks hurt. Grimacing with a bit of pain. Ryan O'Keefe. Everett. 25 points, the margin. 10 minutes remaining. It's been done before. O'Dwyer. Richards.
Very labour intensive at the moment for the Swans.
Adam Goods might fly here and uses his body to bump out. Off the deck, Moore! Out of play on the full.
Just the ball's not bouncing right for the Sydney Swans. They continue to work very hard to get the ball inside 50. They're actually leading the inside 50 count 47 to 41. But just their efficiency when they have their shots on goal certainly hasn't been there tonight.
They've had more scoring shots tonight, the Sydney Swans, as well. 4-16 to 9-11. And that behind has been taken off, so that evens the scoring shots up at 20 apiece.
Which is going to be a discussion point in itself, the fact that it wasn't awarded as a point when it obviously was.
Knight's a little toe poke to his own advantage. Takes them on, just needs to hit the target. And poor Pleaser's a good target to be hitting.
And he's hurt his shoulder again, but the work rate of the Adelaide Crows from their full back line right through has been extraordinary. They've taken on one of the best in the competition at that facet of the game, the Sydney Swans, and they've beat them so far. Have a look at Paul Pleasier. Very difficult when you've got a crook shoulder to get it knocked or when you come down a bit awkwardly, but obviously fair amount of pain there, but he's just going to have to tough it out for the rest of the season.
The biggest goal scorer on the ground tonight. For his fourth, never in doubt. And the Adelaide Crows can smell it from here.
Well, he's been a terrific player all night tonight. Obviously, after getting that knock in the first quarter to his shoulder, he's kicked 4 goals. It's been unbelievable. But this effort by Chris Knights here on the wing, just on Adam Goods, and just after that, Adam Goods was absolutely spent, down on his knees. And it was a terrific effort there by Knight to get the ball inside 50 quickly. Craig Bolton was just caught behind there. Paul Pleasier takes the mark, gets a knock on the shoulder, which is a little bit difficult, but was able to steady up and kick a goal well. 4
to Paul Pleasier, 4 points headed to Adelaide. They can smell the wind now. And they can sniff that top 8 again. And 4th spot on the AFL ladder suddenly opens up as well with the Sydney Swans lost tonight. Thompson kick smothered. Ablett caught by Shirley, who dumps him into the dirt, holding the ball. Had a good night at the office as well tonight, Robert Shirley. 18th possession for him. Knights to the goal square. Paul Pleasure down there. Douglas gives to Thompson. Symes. Matner. Caught by Symes. He dropped it. Umpire let play continue. And you can tell from the crowd, everyone getting a little restless. The umpire finally decided to blow the whistle and ball it up after the players looked at him and pleaded. Kennelly and Goods having a rest now.
Two of their big guns. They'd like to get back out there very quickly. They need to go in the next few minutes if there are any chances. Sydney Swans 31 points down. Dire straits now.
Shirley wrapped up 71-40. Get another ball up.
Well, they're definitely going to need at least 6 goals to win this. They've only kicked 4 for the game, so a massive ask.
We're 17 minutes in now, final term. O'Keefe around the body. Maguire. Richards. Tough one for Barry Hall.
Just had to push right up the ground into the back half to get a position.
Long way down from where he'd like to be. Both position on the ground wise and form wise tonight. Richards back to Moore. And a good lead this time from O'Keefe, who takes the mark.
Oh, that's where I reckon he should have been playing all night. He's coming in for his 32nd disposal, so he's been a good player, but as I mentioned before, it just hasn't probably been damaging. He's been, taking a lot of courage and a lot of disposals, but this is what they've been lacking. Somebody, a marking target with Barry Hall being down and Michael O'Loughlin being injured. This is what they've lacked tonight. They've only kicked 4 goals.
And he came off 29 possessions last week, 9 of those contested. He's such a hard worker.
Just to stick a foot in the jam of the door. He goes here. And he hits the post.
It is amazing. And, I mean, he's probably been pushed forward because he's actually worn out.
Yeah.
Because he's just worked that hard. They've been forced to put him up at full forward. And it may turn out that he's the best option at the moment to kick goals, but just a little bit unlucky there.
Bassett. When the AFL did lengthen the posts, they essentially gave the ball more area to hit. They're bigger, longer and fatter than they've ever been, but it's at least made deciding whether it's a behind or a goal a little easier for those high kicks. But the padding's thicker due to workplace safety, and boy, have they nailed them tonight. Jude Bolton hands it back. O'Dwyer to Ted Richards, a little too wide for him. Can't collect. Shows his frustration. And Paul Roos as calm as ever.
Yeah, under that cool look, there'll be a bit of that, a bit of frustration. 4 goals, 17. Just extraordinary for the Swans.
On their own ground, so it's not as if they don't know where they are. Here, Moore.
It's equally as extraordinary, this record. The last 5 games now, Adelaide Crows have won it here at the SCG.
Not 15. Stevens, Marich, McLeod, thumps it. Douglas and Jack. And a good jump-in mark from Matner. (71-41). 20 minutes now gone. Final turn. And Adelaide blocking all the holes. Jolly. Too far out to score, you'd think.
There's no options. Forwards are just struggling to find any sort of space at all. And that's certainly not going to help things, but there was little other options for big Darren Jolly.
Paul Roos got time for a bit of a laugh at how unfortunate they've been. And Barry Hall gets a free and will have a shot at goal.
He might say thank you to the umpire. I think he's felt that he's been harshly done by with a few free kicks, and he often is. He really struggles to get free kicks. Just here, he fell forward, hand in the back from Ben Rutten. And the explanation there from the umpire is a bit each way, basically.
17 goals, 22 for the year, Barry Hall. A lean year for him, a tough year for him. And he gets some confidence back with his first for the night.
He gets a little bit of confidence back there, and it's great to hear the support from the Sydney Swans crowd. They've certainly have been outplayed by the Adelaide Crows tonight, but there was great support for Barry Hall, made the most of that opportunity, had the free kick, but was good enough to go back and kick a goal, and that'll help his confidence at the end of the game for what has been a disappointing game for the Swans.
First goal of the night for Barry Hall. Big Bad Barry. It's a smirk from him. Did say during the week that he wants to get rid of that nickname of Big Bad Barry, but it might stick now. They're hard to get rid of nicknames once they stick. Just ask Ugly Dave Gray and Claudia Schiffer. I'm sure they'd like to get rid of theirs. From the ball up, Matner, O'Keefe, Kennelly, Jolly, Matner, and Bevan can't mark. Ball knocked backwards. Bolton can't trap it and will get a ball in, but it's all to no avail now. 3 minutes remaining. And the Adelaide Crows will be back inside the top 8 tonight. Jolly. Little palm down. Moore. Held up by Tyson Edwards. Held up high. And Neil Craig still working hard. His percentage might be an issue for the Adelaide Crows come round 22 as well. And he knows it. Kick to the pocket. Stevens wrapped up. Bird brings him down. No prior opportunity. We'll get a ball up.
And because of the big numbers again, once again, the Sydney Swans were forced to go wide, deep into the pocket, very hard, even if they were able to take a contested mark in that situation to convert their opportunities. As Barry Hall, as part of his rotations, just comes off for a spell.
And that will do it for his night tonight, Barry Hall. 4 possessions and a goal. 1 goal, 2. McKay. 2 minutes 30 remaining. Jack couldn't take the mark. Did well, though. O'Keefe caught a little high by Doughty. Umpire was ready for it.
Once again, he had his head in a position where he was going to get hit. He goes in very hard and low, and quite rightly got the free kick.
Kennelly went for Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Turnover. Symes can kick another one.
Oh, good thinking from Symes.
Off to Port Pleasure, and he runs in. Put him down for 5.
Fantastic work from Symes there. He just summed up the situation. There was no one in the forward 50, and just a little chip kick out to the right, and more importantly, he just put it in front of Jason Portpleasure, who just wanders in to kick 5. They've been fantastic, the Adelaide Crows. Their midfield's been extremely good. Their whole team has. The work rate, the ability to push back and crowd up the forward line for the Sydney Swans has been the key tonight. They've had no space to work in.
5 goals for Jason Portpleasure, who at one stage was thinking of an operation that might end his year. And a few Sydney Swan fans departing. Sydney Swans' last 5 games. They've got the Bulldogs next week in Canberra, Fremantle here at the SCG, then Geelong at ANZ Stadium, a tough one, then Collingwood at the Dome and Brisbane at the SCG. They've got a reasonably tough run, the Swans. The 4th spot on the ladder, all of a sudden, is open again. Free kick to Jack. For the record, Adelaide's last 5 games. Carlton at Amy next week, then Richmond at Amy, Essendon at the Telstra Dome, St Kilda at the Telstra Dome, second last game for Adelaide, and then the Bulldogs last game of the year at Amy. So reasonably tough run for the Adelaide Crows as well.
If they can retain their spot in the 8, they'll deserve it. some winnable games and a couple of very tough ones as well, but they've bounced back in beautiful fashion tonight after 5 losses on the trot and the disappointment of the showdown loss last week.
Moran. So this will be 9 wins now for Adelaide. 9 and 8 they'll be, knowing full well that they'll probably need 13 wins to be certain of making the 8. 12 wins wasn't good enough back in 2006, and 12 wins and a big percentage made it for Adelaide last year. So essentially 11 doesn't get you there unless you're extremely lucky. 11 and a half might not get you there either. So they're 9 wins now with 5 games to go, the Adelaide Crows. In Sydney, well, they're 10, 6 and 1. 10 wins, 6 losses and a draw with 5 games left. Kick towards Jolly, who flies and plucked it from Moran. Play on, off hands. Bird to Moore. Richards short. And the last play of the night will be for Ben Matthews. Game number 198 for him. Second game of the year. And he'll be hoping to play his 200th before the season's out. 30 points as it stands now, the margin. To bring it back to 24 and make it a reasonably respectable scoreline is there. But the 4 points to Adelaide and Neil Craig tonight. 11-11-77 to 6-17-53. The Crows, Lynchy, are back in the 8 tonight.
They certainly are, and they'd be absolutely wrapped away. They've come to the SCG tonight out of form and perform at such a high level. Their accuracy compared to the Sydney Swans certainly was of a big assistance, but they were in great form. Their midfield was fantastic, and one of the best players on the ground is joining Rowan Smith down on the ground now.
Well, Jace, tonight a lot of people didn't expect you to come to Sydney, but you got a very good track record against the Swans, and it's proven again tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's a testament to the culture of this club. We were right up against it. This was a massive game for us, and a great result. As I said, you've lost the last 5 in a row. What did Craigie say to you before the game? What were the things that he wanted you to concentrate on during the game? Yeah, some things that we've been trying to work on for a couple of weeks. We thought our desire was a bit lacking last week, so that was a big sort of focus point for us today. What about yourself? You played up in the forward line today. It's a big talking point for the Adelaide Crows, not kicking enough goals to get a win, but today the delivery was good, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. A bit more cleaner ball through the midfield, and it makes a big difference when it comes in a bit cleaner like that, so it allows us to do our job a bit better. And still talking about yourself, in the first quarter it looked like you went down, you dislocated your shoulder a couple of weeks ago, had a week off, came back tonight. You were hurt in the first quarter, you come back off, and then after quarter time you're a different player. What did they do to you? Yeah, doctors working their magic, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that I'm going to have to put up with for the rest of the year. But tonight it worked all right. Was there an opportunity for you to make a decision that you could have an operation a couple of weeks ago? Yeah, there was. We saw the surgeon last week, but his advice was to sort of see if I could keep going. So that was the plan of attack, and we're just going to keep going from here. Well, it looks like you made the right decision. 4 goals tonight. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you.
Jason Portpleasure with 5 goals tonight to his tally. He's had an outstanding year, 29 goals for the year. And it's been a great story considering it's his second chance at the Adelaide Crows. He was on their rookie list back in 2003, but he was delisted and then redrafted in the 2006 pre-season, given one last chance. And he has been the difference tonight, as he has been in so many of their games. There's Andrew McLeod, who's got a pretty big couple of weeks coming up. Game 299 next week, and then game 300 the week after against Richmond at Amy Stadium. So that'll be a massive occasion for Andrew McLeod in a couple of weeks' time when he joins Mark Rasciuto and Ben Hart as the only 300-game players at the Adelaide Crows Footy Club. They've got a great history, the Adelaide Crows. A couple of premierships. They've been a powerhouse team, and tonight they really did put the foot down And one man who was instrumental in defence yet again to get this defeat for the Sydney Swans was Ben Rutten.
Well, Ben, tonight, Nathan had probably the Premier All-Australian centre-half back at the moment, had to go down forward, and you had a big job on Barry Hall tonight, but it's you had a little bit of help.
Yeah, no, look, it was, I suppose it was just a bit of matchups. I suppose that Bocky had to go forward, and obviously with Bird down, we're short one forward, so Bocky had to go up there, and I thought it was a really good game by all the boys tonight.
Looked like a little bit of a direction was to get all the numbers back and then charge forward. Was that a direction from Craigie?
Look, not so much. I mean, we knew it was going to be a real in close contested type of game, and that's the way it turned out. A lot of stoppages and a lot of one-on-one footy. So it was just when we tried to open it up and get a bit of run, that seemed to work well for us.
Well, all the boys are burning you. They're going up the race, so I'll let you go. Well done, mate.
Right, thanks, mate.
Ben Rutten with Rowan Smith. And considering they had a couple of players out as well tonight, Adelaide, that was a very, very impressive performance. And Lynch, it is hard to believe they've now won 9 of their last 10 against Sydney, Adelaide, and they've won 5 of their last 6 here against Sydney at the SCG.
It is quite amazing, and spot on. Ben Rutten was fantastic tonight. Barry Hall, his touch wasn't quite there, and that's to be expected. He missed a lot of football, but every time that Barry Hall seemed to be in a position, Ben Rutten just got in the road, blocked his path, and made it very difficult. So he led his defensive half extremely well, and across the board, their midfield was fantastic. Edwards, Knights, Vince, McLeod was good. It's great for him to get another game under the belt. He's 2 games back now from a knee operation, so he looks to be running into some form and fitness with 23 disposals. So some great signs for a very happy Adelaide Crows back in the 8.
As they should be happy. They're coming off 5 losses in a row, so much relief with this victory. And they'll put a couple of their youngsters in the middle of the pack for this song. Campbell in the middle, and the Adelaide Crows another victory at the SCG, 11-11-77 to Sydney 6-17-53. We'll be back to wrap up at the Sydney Cricket Ground.